Welcome to Water Talk with Paul the Waterman, brought to you by Water Pros. Paul the Waterman is Colorado's expert on all things related to the water we use and drink in our homes. Have you ever thought about where your water actually comes from? Is it safe to drink? Is it harmful to my health, my skin, my hair? Paul the Waterman knows water, and he has the answers. Haystack Help Radio proudly presents Water Talk. Now here's your host, Scott Watley, and owner of Water Pros, Paul the Waterman.
Old Ann and I, with throats burned dry and souls that cry for water, water, cool water, clear water, water, water.
I crashed in the jungle while trying to keep a date with my little girl who was back in the States. I was stranded in the jungle, afraid and alone, trying to figure a way to get a message back home. But I was out to know that the wreckage of my plane had been picked up and spotted in my girl in Lover's Lane. And meanwhile, back in the States,
welcome to Water Talk. Paul, I have to say I've never heard that song in my life.
Never?
I've never heard that opening.
Stranded in the jungle?
Stranded in the jungle. Do you feel like, Paul, do you feel like you're stranded
Sometimes
in a jungle?
I feel like I'm stranded in a jungle.
I hope that gets better over the next several weeks and then November. Yeah.
And then last night I was like, man, it's really in the jungle.
Paul the Waterman is with us. Our show is brought to you by Water Pros. 303-862-5554 is the number. And with that, we'll welcome that voice you heard, Mr. Paul Dowding. We just call him Paul the Waterman. How are you, bud?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good, man. Have a good week?
We had a great week.
Any good customer stories?
A lot of great customer stories. They're all wonderful people. Couple things. I want to talk about, I saw a post on Twitter, or X.
Okay.
And Breitbart was trying to break a story about fluoride, and then a lot of people were, they don't understand what the issue is, and so they were kind of picking on Breitbart or mocking them for bringing up fluoride, as a concern. So what I thought we'd do is something new. I got it, the idea, watching Billy Graham as a kid growing up on TV. He used to
after
say,
hee-haw.
Right, after hee-haw. he used to say, open up your Bibles, right? So in today's world, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, folks at home, get your tablet or your phone, and let's go to Google. And when we get to Google, let's type in fluoride in my water. Okay? And don't worry if you misspell it, because Google will help you out. And let's pick the top one where it says the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, right? And then let's pick that one. And fluoride comes up. And so one of the things that people probably didn't know is fluoride is naturally an element, a common element. And so it says fluoride is a chemical ion. So remember that important word right there, ion, and we'll get into it. So fluoride is a chemical ion of fluorine. Can you believe I said that? I could say fluorine. I pronounced that without a problem. I did that.
You did well.
This show has helped me out a lot. Thank you.
Yes.
Fluoride is a chemical ion of fluorine, which is the 13th most common element in the Earth's crust. It is naturally found in almost all soil and water and many rocks. It's released into the environment when the rocks or soil containing fluoride are dissolved by water. Here we go. Okay, so I say that because it's common in water supply. That clearly states it. But then what happens is that they decided to add fluoride to our drinking water because it was supposed to help with bone density in our gums. And that was, I truly believe, because back then when this kick really started, is that we had dentures. right? And so instead of nowadays, it's implants. And so, I don't think people do dentures anymore. And what the implants do is they go through the bone, right? Okay. Dentures sat on the gum line. And if you, over a period of time, that gum line would deteriorate. That's why I remember seeing relatives where the dentures would fall out or they became really loose and they couldn't wear them anymore. So the theory, to my understanding, was fluoride was to help with overall bone density health, but too much fluoride then becomes tooth decay. Too much of it will decay teeth. And so that's what happened many years ago in Henderson, Nevada. There was an outbreak where they had so much fluoride, and I called it an outbreak, because I lived in Las Vegas, and I remember reading, and I think it's the Las Vegas Journal was their newspaper. I don't know if it's still around, but I remember reading an article about too much fluoride in Henderson, Nevada was causing, tooth decay and gum disease in children.
Wow.
And so fluoride, majority of the mothers that, are the ones that are concerned about fluoride and fluoride in the water, and it's not healthy for us with high exposure. So back where it says, an ion, okay? Fluoride is a chemical ion. That means that it can be removed from your water with a whole house anion resin system. So you can either remove fluoride with a point of use reverse osmosis, or you could do it through the whole house with an anion resin-based system. And so anion resin means that it's a positive charge where a water softener resin is a negative charge. And that element, you have to have a water softener first because anion resin is super sensitive. And then the water softener supports the anion resin, where the anion resin then can remove the fluoride from the water.
So when I was looking on here, just trying to read here a little bit, but it said it's primarily due to rich fluoride soil.
That's right. And
volcanic,
also rock.
Volcanic activity, forage grasses and grains, and other anthropogenic reasons. So that's where it comes. Wow.
Correct. Right. So as we're reading, we also find that that fluoride, that's why fluoride is in toothpaste, because apparently it helps prevent cavities and outer enamel tooth layers. It helps by making teeth stronger and more resistant to decay. But again, too much fluoride will create that opposite issue, will create tooth decay and gum disease.
And, Paul, sometimes, we get into a ton of technical type things, but I'll tell you one thing you've kind of said over and over, especially over these last few months, you and I have talked on air and off air about your clients saying, man, we appreciate the education that you're bringing. And if they say they go on, do some of the things you just asked people to do here, to go on and check out what we're saying, and they find out it's true research.
Well, so let's do this. So let's go back to the Google search engine for everybody that's following with us at home. And let's type in, is fluoride harmful to the body?
And what do you get?
Well, the first one says fluoride risk, use, and side effects. Fluoride is a neurotoxin which, in high doses, can be harmful. Could also lead to tooth discoloration and bone problems. So clearly with fluoride, there's this balance that must be obtained. Right. We're not having too much. Too little won't really do anything, but too much will.
So is there a test for fluoride, or are you mainly, when you test, you're mainly testing for the hardness and softness?
We're testing for the hardness and softness. We're testing for a chloride or chlorine, not fluoride.
Gotcha.
But that's something that, the health department can test for. I'm sure they're going to monitor, and there's a push today to have fluoride completely removed from water treatment.
Oh, really?
Yes. People don't want it. It's harmful because what's happening is the levels, majority of the fluoride levels are on the harmful side than the helpful side.
Interesting. Paul will come out and do that free in-home water test for you all you have to do is call 303-862-5554. And go ahead and mention this as well. If you have a current functioning system, Paul will check that, see if the levels are set where they need to be, see if it's operating like you need it to operate as well. And but again, all you have to do is call 303-862-5554. So do you think in the water reports that none of us ever get, they include anything about fluoride in?
I haven't seen it. You know, one of the things, let's go back to the water reports. The water reports really don't tell us much of anything at all because they really don't cover pharmaceuticals in our water. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I want to get to. So if we go back to, fluoride, is fluoride harmful to the body? And then the first thing we can do is we talked about the toxicity of fluoride, the critical evaluation of evidence of what fluoride can do as far as dental health and harmful, too much of it to our dental health. And then the second one down, Scott, is from the American Cancer Society. And so then you could read where it says water fluoridation and cancer risk. Many decades after fluoride was first added to drinking water in some parts of the United States, there's still controversy about its possible health effects. Many people have strong views either for or against water fluoridation. The concerns are based on everything from legitimate scientific research to freedom of choice issues to other, government conspiracy theories issues. But my point is, everything that we talk about in our show, it's right there. People can, if you have a question or concern, you definitely have the ability to do your own research to see for yourself. Right. And I think that's important. This is the funny thing about the internet, in my opinion. Certain aspects, it's great. It's great research and there's factual information. Others, it's just out there and there's unfortunately a political spin to it. Mm-hmm. But when we're talking about, the water quality and water safety, I think this is good, a resource for people to go to. Let's go back to the search engine and then let's type in what I'm concerned about more than anything, pharmaceuticals and drinking water.
And Paul, as you go through things with your folks when you get into a home, do they seem shocked sometimes at just some of the things that you bring up that cause the different health issues?
A lot of people I'm thinking, I'm finding are becoming aware. And so, I think people are starting to, to do their research, especially, those who are starting, to want to have a family, pregnant women. I find, and that's refreshing. I remember, 2 weeks ago, I had a great conversation with, a mother-to-be, and then her brother wanted to be on the phone, so he dialed him on the phone, and we were, having a great conversation, about, the benefits of reverse osmosis. And one of the questions they thought is that reverse osmosis takes the necessary minerals out of the water, and I was able to point out to them that, hey, the minerals that are in the water supply are not a benefit to us. Mm-hmm. And so, I found that, it was fun to have, that kind of a conversation and then be able to, go over, the facts and information, because then what that tells me is that, they're going to care about their purchase. And that's what you want. You want something, to ask the questions so you know what you're getting and you can expect what it's going to do.
Right.
And so, pharmaceutical, one of the things that surprises me, if I go to USGS, which is, an arm of the United States government, and their website is usgs.gov. The only thing they talk about regarding pharmaceuticals and water dates back to January 6th of 2018.
Wow.
So why haven't they updated that? And and so then, we can have our own conspiracy theory here why that hasn't been updated, because I think the true concern when it comes to pharmaceuticals and water supply is all the hormones that are going to be in the water, that are going to flooding our water system. Number one, people that take estrogen, and people that take birth controls, that's common. That in itself is in the water supply. But those who choose to augment their bodies are taking or hormone that's not normal to the body immediately treats that as a foreign substance and wants to get rid of it. And so I find it interesting that this hasn't been updated. What they do talk about in this article is a study that we mentioned before that ranges from 2004 to 2009 regarding pharmaceutical manufacture facilities. It can be a source of contamination, but also that's in the two wastewater treatment plants that receive discharge from pharmaceutical manufacture facilities had 10 to 1,000 times higher concentration of pharmaceuticals, but also people that dump medication down the toilet. But also, we also learned that when you take a medication and your body metabolizes it, that medication turns into a metabolic, and once you expel it from your body and flush it down the toilet, it's in the water system. So then you have to think about pure population.
Right.
Pure population, is going to enhance the concentration. And then let's take the path of common sense, which is a dying commodity in today's world. If they showed us a story, which we shared, regarding PFAS contamination in a farm. There was a farm in Texas and a farm in Wisconsin. And what happened was that they had such high levels of PFAS contamination that they got from the wastewater plant. So the waste treatment plant takes the human waste, feces, let's call it manure, right? And they take that out of the water, and then they sell it to farmers as fertilizer. But then the fertilizer, or the human waste that they use for fertilizer, had so much PFAS in it that it contaminated their farm. Every aspect of the farmland, from the hay to the livestock, because the livestock ate it.
Right.
Right? So every part of it. So that tells me pharmaceutical contamination, I believe, can't be that far behind. That's where I'm kind of using the common sense approach.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. The contamination of PFAS has been going on since the 40s. But so as society has grown, the contamination is even more. So then it has to be the same for everything else in the world. Think about it. This is a global issue because everything is transferred globally. How?
Everything's transferred globally?
How? Yes, how?
Our environment. What's
rain? And so I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that's my point, is that rain transfers everything.
right?
So if we have microplastics that are found in rainwater, microplastics are found in every single body of water, especially here in Colorado. They did and owned the universities, in our area did that independent study that we shared with everybody. And so now we're in that same. You have to be in that same mindset with the PFAS contamination, and then the pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals are really huge. And then so last week we did that story regarding microplastics, contaminating unborn babies.
A lot to know for sure. And Paul is the guy to explain it to you. Hey, give him a call at Water Pros, 303-862-5554. It is Water Pros. As I mentioned, your free in-home water test. He'll also check if you've got a existing functioning system. Paul will also take a look at that, just see if it's set properly and see if it's operating as it should. So give him a call, 303-862-5554. More Water Talk coming right back. Welcome back to Water Talk. My name is Scott Watley. Paul Dowding is with us, owner of Water Pros. Once again, their number, 303-862-5554. Paul, before we delve into this, I want to touch on this just a minute. There's a lot of places that can sell, let's just say, water treatment systems. Okay.
Right.
Right? All right. As far as a business doing it and installing it, or I guess anybody could just sell it and then they could farm out for somebody to install it.
Well, if anybody can sell it, anybody can install it. Correct.
Right. And so folks should pay attention to that. I mean, yeah, we're here to talk about Water Pros and get you business, but they should have a license
Well, the other thing they should
do
have,
that, right?
right? Everybody should be registered with DORA. That's just the responsible thing. But also what should occur is that they should have a basic knowledge of what they're selling, being able to explain it to you, how it's going to work, why it's going to work, and how it's going to perform.
So
what to
a basic
expect.
knowledge of selling and installation too
Right.
would
So-
help, right?
Right. So, it's like anything. I mean, for whatever reason, plumbers, majority of the plumbers out there, great people, but they just don't understand water treatment, water filtration. That's why a lot of them, got suckered into selling the Halo 5 as a water softener, and the Halo 5 does not soften the water. Now they changed that. The Halo 5 used to advertise as a salt-free water softener, and they don't do that anymore, thank goodness, because that was just false advertising. There's no such thing as a salt-free water softener. It just does not exist.
Right.
So, but again, a lot of plumbers bought into that as, they went to plumbers and said, hey, this is the next greatest thing. You never have to use salt. And boy, they charged a premium price for them back in the day. I mean, there for a while, the Halo was going for $8,000 to $11,000.
So a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. Some plumbing companies will have this maybe as a area of their business, but it's not
Their
a real
specialty.
specialty.
Right, correct. And the other thing you have to be careful, there's technology out there that, the design, is, for example, you can get a Fleck, F-L-E-C-K control valve online very, very cheap. And then, that same control valve you can buy for a couple $100. Other companies are selling them for several $1,000s. There's another, and the Fleck originally went out of business, but a company called Pentair purchased the patent and started reproducing that. Just like another one that went out of business was the Autotro valve. The Autotro valve to me looks like the alien monster. It's got this long back head. It uses a camshaft, and originally that company went out of business, but Pentair purchased that. And so it's the same that you see those monstrosities and anything, the Autotro valve, in my opinion, and the Fleck valve, they're just, they're, when it comes to maintenance, in my opinion, they're hard to maintain and they're not maintenance friendly. So that's why, we chose, the Clack Corporation, the Clack valve, because I think personally, it's the best, treatment system control valve out in the market today.
Right.
So
if you look at a big box store, maybe you just walk in and you go, hey, I want to look at their water softeners, and they show them something. What are going to be some of the main differences, and not to get real technical, but what would be some of the main differences in what you carry?
So the big box store, one of them, let's say Home Depot sells the Rheem. Well, the Rheem water softener, Rheem doesn't make the water softener. That control valve, Rheem is made by EcoWater. It's a rotary valve, but that same control valve years ago was sold under the brand name. It was a Montgomery Ward. Then it became a GE.
That's going back.
Right. Then it became a GE water softener, and GE sold it for the longest time. And now, Rheem is basically taken over. But that technology, that rotary valve, it's been around for 35, 40 years. It hasn't changed. And a rotary valve has a Venturi valve. There's things all over the internet and YouTube valve how to maintain or service them if there's something goes wrong. But the rotary valve, in my opinion, doesn't like really hard water. There's issues that occur. Then you go to Lowe's, and A.O. Smith now is in the water treatment industry. A.O. Smith sells, a water softener at Lowe's, and that used to be the Hague, H-A-G-U-E. Hague was purchased by A.O. Smith, and people may remember buying this in Home Depot. It was called the Water Boss. Water Boss was, $250, $300 water softener. It was a short, kind of small, compact resin bed system. Maybe 12,000 grains. The capacity wasn't there. I mean,
Right.
They were priced to be, in my opinion, throwaways. And so, now A.O. Smith, not only are they in the hot water, tank, they bought State Select, so you have, as a hot water heater, and A.O. Smith is a hot water heater, but now they're aggressively in the water treatment industry. and which clearly they see this as an expanding market, as a necessity. And some A.O. Smith also is in the what I call the dealer network in water treatment, water softening, and so. The key, in my opinion, is to find somebody that I think is an independent, and the only reason is because an independent has the freedom to sell whatever equipment they want, and so that allows you to basically you're not handcuffed. We had a company approach us, a couple weeks ago, wanting us to become a dealer for them. But, and one of the things they wanted us to do is only sell their product. And it's just, I'm not interested. I want to be able to offer what's best for my customer, the best solution for them.
Right.
And so, in the thing in today's world that you really need to think about is that when you're looking at a water treatment, water filtration system, it has to make sense. So they should be able to explain it to you why you need it, number one. Two, how is it going to work, right? And then part A, the upkeep, and three, what's the lifespan? How long would something like this last? And so, they should be able to come out to your home and say, okay, this is what your water is, this is what we recommend, and this is why we recommend it, and how it's going to fix your problem.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something upkeep. So let's take my water softener I got, besides keeping salt in it, which you had to remind me to do.
Right.
What are other things that a homeowner has to do? I mean, how often should they do whatever?
The only thing you really need to do is just put a reminder on your phone to check the salt level, because you have a reverse osmosis now, and it's really important that the reverse osmosis, for it to function and filter properly, is supported by a water softener.
I mean, like once a year, should we have you come out and check anything? Or
well,
a couple years,
I think once a year you should have me come out and do a water test to make sure that the water quality hasn't changed, because we programmed it at the time to what your current water hardness is.
Gotcha.
So water hardness can change and fluctuate. That's why we offer, if someone has an existing functioning water filtration system, to go out and check it and check the water hardness in the program to make sure it's set properly. Also, on your system, we also have it set off where there's a default cleaning cycle. So it's going to backwash based on, the water you and Victoria use, but it's also going to go through, an extra cleaning cycle, just because it has no choice but to use the same harder water to go through the backwash. So you want to make sure it doesn't get off balance. Mm-hmm. And so those are other things that are important too.
Last question, and this is more personal just from my knowledge, but, I get my salt at local Ace hardware store. Sometimes they have those peanut-looking type deals. Other times they have real small crystal thing.
Go with the small crystal things, are what we recommend. The pellet salt. Yeah. That's a gluing agent to keep it's glued together, really.
Okay.
So water will dissolve it, but, it's something that gluing agent in a hole could create that salt in the salt tank to bridge. And it becomes like one big block of cement.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Good to know. Now, RO system. Let's just answer real quick for people that get that point of view. So RO system, any kind of upkeep there or maintenance there?
Well, the reverse osmosis system, if it's supported by a water softener, the filters can last you up to 3 to 5 years based on total dissolved solid levels and also based on usage. Okay. So with you and Victoria, those filters should last you guys every bit of 5 years.
Sure.
Unless you guys burn through a bunch of water, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Unless you buy a Camel.
Man, I'm telling you, Paul, that water's so good.
It is good.
It is amazing. Then we've got the ice thing that you said to get and make our own ice with that. And it is so awesome.
It is. I want to go back real quick to the National Library of Medicine. So the website is ncbi.nlm.nih.gov.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Not really. But what was which website was it called?
Okay. National Library of Medicine.
Okay, so go to that website.
National Center for Biotechnology Information.
All right.
Okay.
We'll go there.
Got it.
What are we going to find when we go there?
Pharmaceuticals in water, the need for environmental bioethics. Now, this was a story that was done on December 24th that was published back in 2022. Okay. So it's kind of funny that there hasn't been anything recent. because I'm typing it in there and I don't see anything recent. Now, for anybody at home, if you type pharmaceuticals in my drinking water and if you find a current article, please let me know. Give Colleen a call at 303-862-5554. Let her know, or shoot us an email, because I love current research. But it talks about pharmaceuticals are present in various water sources used by wildlife and as drinking water for humans. Research shows that certain pharmaceuticals sold over the counter and by prescription only can harm wildlife. So this is my point. Back in, so this is articles not quite 3 years old, but that's my concern. Moreover, the human ingestion of water contaminated by polypharmacy presents a potential cause of concern for human health. I pronounced another tough word.
You did.
Yeah, that's good.
You're doing good today in school.
Yeah, this is good. Thank you. It must be my glasses. I cleaned my glasses. That's what I did. So, guys, this is just where I can't say enough, where we have to accept the fact that pharmaceutical contamination is absolutely in our water supply. Our wildlife are going to have it. And so, you're a big game hunter, right? So you have to be concerned, right? If you, take a, elk steak and, how much penicillin, you're getting with each bite, right?
Hey, I get my antibiotics and vitamins when I eat that now.
So, but seriously, it's something that we really, it's just, it has to be a given. And the other thing, and the reason why I talk about this being a global issue, because you really don't know what other countries out there, what they're doing, with their pharmaceuticals. Are they dumping down the toilet, right? You don't know, because it gets to be a global water contamination because of how, the rainwater, is globally, right? It just, it really truly is. And the thing to think about also is with rainwater contamination and other, chemical contamination, pharmaceutical contamination, we got big countries like China. I'm sure that their manufacturing practices take shortcuts. I'm not sure that the government really is restricting what kind of waste they're dumping. But do you remember a couple weeks ago when we did a story about PFAS, and one of the articles that we read said that the ocean spray, in most cases has more PFAS contamination than a manufacturing facility?
Right. I do remember that, yeah.
I mean, that's something. So, we have to really, put this in the big picture. So I point out the problem, and so everybody needs to chew the bubble gum and getting a reverse osmosis and a water softener. And we offered the solution at a great price, $31.95.
And I tell you, that's a great value, and you had some callers take advantage of that.
That's right. So you had a water softener, smart computer water softener. It's a 3/4 of a cubic foot, 24,000 grain. Smart computer with reverse osmosis, $31.95. And the reverse osmosis helps support the lifespan and the quality of the reverse osmosis drinking or water softener. It helps support the reverse osmosis.
All right. Hey, that's a terrific special. We thank Paul for extending that for our listeners here on Water Talk. So give him a call, 303-862-5554. We'll be right back.
Turn a normal day into an adventure on an e-bike. Hi, I'm Randy Caranci, founder of E-Bike of Colorado. E-bikes are a fun way to ride around town. Just try it. Pedal assist technology flattens the steepest hills. We have 14 major brands to choose from, and our expert staff will find you the perfect bike. Come take a free test ride at E-Bike of Colorado in downtown Louisville next to the historic grain elevator. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Learn more at ebikeofcolorado.com. Just try it.
If you're looking for great quality eye care, look no further than Stack Optical. Hey, this is Scott Watley, and for over 20 years, Alan Stack has been taking care of our optical needs. At Stack Optical, they handle all of your eyewear needs with glasses, prescription glasses, shooting glasses, sunglasses, contacts, eyeglass repairs, and yes, even eye exams. And those eye exams are only $69. And if you've been told you've got a complicated prescription, that's just one of the specialties at Stack Optical. At Stack Optical, they have their own on-site lab, and in most cases, you can have your new glasses in just 2 to 3 days. Stack Optical, 2233 South Monaco Parkway, free and up-close parking. Call them today, 303-321-1578. That's 303-321-1578. Or visit stackoptical.com. And remember, at Stack Optical, you'll see the difference.
560 KLZ, your home station.
Welcome back to Water Talk. If you're just joining us, Paul the Waterman is with us with Water Pros. Once again, that special offer, $31.95, gets you your water softener and a point-of-use RO system. You can't beat this price, and that is installed. So give them a call, 303-862-5554.
Okay, so in this article, I want to point this out. 156 pharmaceuticals have been discovered in surface water, groundwater, and drinking water in Germany alone. And I mentioned that Germany was leading the world as far as, the trying to make people aware that the pharmaceutical contamination. They wanted to bring it to the World Health Organization. And then it also is noted that up to 90% of oral medication that pass through the human body end up in the water supply. Additionally, it has become a common practice for patients and medical professionals to dispose of medications directly down the drain. This is a key. It says 90% of oral medications that pass through the human body end up in the water supply. So I really want to put this out there because I believe in my heart that, our water is not safe to drink. We're drinking, you don't know what other people's medicine you're drinking out of a glass of water. I mean, that's just the truth.
And if everybody was honest and say, hey, have you ever flushed unused medicine down the toilet? I think everybody would have to say they have.
Right. And so, again, I'm going to repeat this, and I appreciate everybody's patience, but, up to 90% of oral medications that pass through the human body end up in the water supply. So this right here, this is from the website ncbi.nim.nih.gov.
Okay.
There's the information. That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
That was.
It was a lot.
Kind of a valve for 200.
No doubt, right? Okay, so seriously, this is, and think about this. Think about this. What do you think happens when we're in an operating room and they're, with all the medical waste, right? The blood gets, where does that go? Down the drain. They wash the instruments, all that stuff goes down the drain. When you, unfortunately, someone said this once and it's really kind of scary, but it's the truth, and I hate to even think about it. But here's a question for you. Where is one place in the world that we're all going to end up no matter what?
Our body in the ground.
The morgue.
Yeah.
So when they embalm us, where does our blood go? Yeah, down the drain.
Wow.
So, all right, think about this. I'm going to say it one more time for today. Up to 90% of oral medication that passes through the human body end up in our water supply, end up in the water supply. So that's clearly my concern is the puberty blockers, is the other hormones that people are taking to augment their body that's not normal to the human body. The human body is going to do whatever it can to get rid of it. That's why when you have a medication or prescription drug you're taking and your doctor wants you to go and do a blood test or a urine test because they want to make sure that your kidneys are functioning properly because your kidneys have to deal with this. Your kidney is the filter.
So when people ask you, and again, a lot of people, may have some type of filtration system, but when they ask you, okay, how does this really work? Is there a way to explain that? And I realize you may have to get technical, but then in layman terms, too, to let them understand how an RO system actually works?
No, absolutely. So you think about a roll of paper towels. So reverse osmosis membrane is wrapped like a roll of paper towels in layers. Okay. So an RO system, a standard RO, reverse osmosis. When I say RO, I mean reverse osmosis, okay? So standard reverse osmosis is 3 stages. And that's really all you need, because if you have 4 or 5 or 6 stage RO, all those other filters are redundant, and you're just wasting your money. And just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's better.
Right.
Okay. And the other thing that you really need to consider is where these filters are being manufactured from. That's really super important. So the reverse osmosis membrane, the first thing it does, everybody out there in radio land, is it goes through the pre-filter. And in today's world, the pre-filter, if you live in town, is mainly for chlorine. Because chloramine is chlorine and ammonia. And so it goes through the first stage to help reduce the chlorine. Then it goes to the reverse osmosis membrane. Now that's nanofiltration. That's down to 0.001 micron. And that's the filter that gets 98% of all the contamination out of the water. Then it goes through the third stage, which is another carbon filter, kind of like a polisher, to make sure that, hey, it's got everything, any residual. And it goes into the RO holding tank or the storage tank. Now, when you turn on that faucet to draw the water and it comes out of the holding tank, it goes through a fourth filter, but that's really a polishing filter to make sure the water stays fresh, tastes crisp.
Paul is truly a water specialist, and what we're getting to in our second segment, I think it was, is to understand, don't just go and, have anyone out to come and look and sell you something. I mean, at least have Paul out. Hey, it's a free initial consult, so to speak. He'll do the free in-home water test for you. So at least let him come out, hey, test your water, see what's going on, show you what he has, and I promise you, you will learn something about your water. And folks, this deal at $31.95 is really, really, really a good value. And Paul, and just normally, and I mean, what I call your everyday low price is a great value, but this is saving people several $100s.
So
at the $31.95,
it's twice, if not three times less than what our competition is.
Okay.
And it's everything that's made here in the USA, made in the United States.
Right.
I believe everybody deserves clean water. I believe that. So one of the things that I kind of want to hit home today, and we've been talking about this, back in the pharmaceutical issue aspect of it, think about also the food that we eat. We're going to have some sort of, we know we have microplastics in our food, right? And so we also know that we're going to have some sort of PFAS, and so worry about the pharmaceuticals. Okay, let's look at it this way. This week we found out that the United States government lied to us about job numbers, and the total employment number had to be revised down by over 800,000 jobs.
Right.
That means there was an extra 800,000 that didn't have work. The reason why I'm bringing this up is, what else are they not being truthful with us about? So we can't, if you can't trust the employment numbers, and they're doing that for clearly the reason of the person that's in office today, so they can brag about adding a million
jobs. Do you realize
jobs.
the panic it would cause, though, if they came out and said every oral medication is in our water?
But they should. I mean, they should let us know.
I know.
We have a right and a responsibility to make the choice ourselves. And so it's like they should tell us, so we do, and so do you care? Okay, here's the information. Well, I've been drinking this water for so long, it hasn't hurt me yet. But we should, we deserve to know the truth. What happens? Cancer is also, genetic. Did you know the first mastectomy that was done, the lady that had it done, I saw this on TV, she did it with no anesthesia. And it was done like in 1898, I think. I'm not mistaken, but I just saw that. I was like, man, that had to be very painful. Oh. And then I think she lived another, 5 or 6 years after that. But yeah. But anyway, so, I mean, we have a right to know. The age of society, there's been contamination concerns since then. It really has. But we never really thought about it because no one thinks about what we dumped on the sink. Nobody thinks about that. All goes into the waste treatment plant. Well, the waste treatment plant really removes the human waste, the solid or the poop, but then everything else is passed on through. And what this article clearly states, pharmaceuticals, hey, yeah, it gets in the water supply.
Right.
And so I think we have the right to know. And then the concern that I have is, They talk about everybody being over-medicated with antibiotics, but think about this. What about the fentanyl? What if fentanyl gets in our water supply? I mean, fentanyl is a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big problem. It's killing people.
Sure.
And so, and then the other thing to think about, there was a news story, remember, and we mentioned this on the show about they could go around and tell the neighborhoods that had, the heroin problem or the cocaine problem because they tested the water in the waste treatment plant.
Right.
And then technically those are pharmaceuticals,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these are things that, and you and I, have talked to, that we mentioned this before too, talked to a gentleman that designs.
Yeah, he's going to be with us. Probably not. It won't be this next Friday, but the following Friday after that, he's agreed to come on with us because I know we've referenced him a few times. So
right.
just to let our audience know there is a real guy that will
support
tell
the
us some of
information.
his stuff. Yeah.
So what we have, in summary, is that we have a microplastic problem. We played a news clip that was on Channel 9 about a cardiologist
yeah.
right? That said that they found microplastics in the arteries of the heart. We've done stories where basically microplastics are in every aspect of the human brain and then, male and female reproductive systems. We have the PFAS, or forever chemical issue, that's absolutely in our water supply. And, now we started out, over a year ago, we announced that there were 4 of known chemicals that make up the PFAS family. Now there's over 15,000 that make up the PFAS family. And then we have total chlorine content, which is chlorine and ammonia, which is a chloramine. We also have how many contaminants that we read from the list of disinfectant agents that are put in wastewater as soon as they pull the poop out of it that are harmful, cancer-causing.
Right.
And now we have the pharmaceutical issue, which is something that is, I really just want people to take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to goodness, I think it's a problem, and who knows what other medical conditions, are causing because of the water that we drink. One of the things I've found, I want to put it out there, is that the neighborhoods that have high chlorine content, that can absolutely be a cause for skin irritation and eczema-like symptoms. And chlorine content is also in the hot water. So if you got a conventional hot water heater, and the chloramine, it builds up, and when you take that steam shower, you're breathing in the chloramine.
Right.
We also have a solution for that too. So that's our matrix water system. So I just encourage people to do your own research. The information is there. See it for yourself, and then spread the word.
Sure. Take advantage of this special $31.95. Get you your RO system and your water softener. But you got to call, mention you heard Paul here on Water Talk, 303-862-5554. We got to hit our last break, and we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Water Talk. Paul the Waterman is with us. Give him a call, 303-862-5554. And here's another reason, real quick, just 2 or 3 minutes left here with Paul today, but the reason why you want to deal with, Paul is a water specialist. Paul, you've been in homes where you've said people had systems, they were sold, that had no way of ever correcting what their problem was.
Correct.
All right?
Absolutely.
So that's number one.
Right.
Number 2, you don't want to underbuy just to hit a price point, be sold something to fit your budget, and you don't want to overbuy something you don't need.
Right now, I'm hearing from customers that, my competition, their baseline systems are over $7,000.
My goodness.
$7,000 to over $11,000. And, that's just for water softening and reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, we do, listen, we ran this special because everybody deserves, good water, but I don't want people to get taken advantage of. And my concern is that, if they ever were truthful with what was going on really and what's really in our water, you're going to have water, companies out there trying to get $22,000 for a water system.
Sure.
And people are going to get scared into, to financing something like that. And it concerns me.
Mm-hmm.
Do Do we have systems that, they're, are expensive, as far as I say expensive, or, $8,000 more? Yeah, absolutely. But, when you use the matrix whole house water softener, the ultraviolet light, the reverse osmosis.
I mean, you can get there.
Right. But
But
not.
that's based on an individual need.
Right.
Okay.
Need and want.
Right.
But what I'm saying is a base water softener, just a base water softener to get you started. Right, to get, because, down the road, the water softener supports, the reverse osmosis. Listen, I know times are tough, trust me. And so I'm just basically trying to create an option for those that, hey, you want to take advantage of this. It's made in the USA. We definitely can help you out. And, the Matrix is a water system that is multimedia. And so it'll attack both the hardness and the total chlorine content, and the PFAS, and so that those are options out there. But it's their choice, the customer's choice on which direction, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak to them. I want to close real quick about the pharmaceutical issue. That, with this article that we read, we start out, wanting people to know you can navigate and find the same information that we talk about on the show and where we get it from. But pharmaceuticals, it has to be an eye opener. I mean, it's clearly there.
Right.
So the problem is, my concern is what happens with other medications that you take. Could there be a pharmaceutical in that water, that's making other medications not function properly? And when you take medication and you have to monitor your kidneys and your liver, because some medications stress your kidneys out. There's a CAT scan that you can have with a dye, and you need to do a blood test to make sure that your kidneys can process that dye through the body. And that dye, if your body is stressed too much kidney-wise, could even cause death. I didn't realize that until, that I had to sign the waiver, for me to get one. Wow. And so you open up your eyes and think, wow, what's truly in our water? So pharmaceuticals are absolutely a problem, along with microplastics, the PFAS, the total chlorine content, and the forever chemicals.
Right.
That's just the basics.
Sure. Give Paul a call. Hey, take advantage. This is a great deal. Hey, just get it all taken care of at one time. $31.95. Get your point of use RO system and your water softener. That's a great value for you. 303-862-5554. Paul, as always, appreciate your time. Hope you have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you. I want everybody out there to have a great weekend and be blessed.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and weekend. We'll talk to you next week.